And I clicked that. And now I do see me live. And I'm on StreamYard doing a stream. That's a fact. Now, let's see. Where do I find, some information? Well, I don't know. But there is a way to invite. And I can copy that. It says it's copied. And I can go here and says I've now got a StreamYard set up. Yeah, that's what I got. Let me see. I got my glasses. Yeah, I know. I haven't done this very many times. And I'm going to see to it that some things happen. How am I going to do that? I'm going to just sit back here. And it's amazing what you can see in these glasses. I don't know how everything works, but it's working. And I do know that today is Friday, and it is the 15th. I'm pretty sure that I titled, the video as such. So now just bear with me as I try to find out something here by phone. Yeah, I got a nice, pink phone. And I can definitely, dial numbers. And let's see what happens if I dial this number. Because, yes, sir, I have just dialed your number. And it says I have a live stream going right now on StreamYard. I am. I think, yeah, yeah. You've heard of Friday the 13th? I'm live now. My headset's on. No, they're not hearing you. Nobody can hear you unless you click on the link. Because I shared the link, in the chat. And I don't know if anybody will get on or not. I know my wife will be coming through at about 10:30 going to sit in that chair, and I'm doing the video because I want to do a video, you know. So I mean, it's going to be on Bob the Builder. I can tell that, and I was just, you know, letting you know. I don't know how long this will go, but I started it. It says 6 minutes ago. But anyway, if you come on, I should be able to. You should be able to get in. If you don't, the stream will be, you know, in my Bob the Builder. I'm not. I don't have a studio that I go work in. I just do this stuff, you know, as it happens. So anyway, we'll see if you do or if you don't. But I will get off the phone so you can vacuum if that's what you need to do. Although I'll be on until I get off. Been on 7 minutes now. We'll see what goes. Anyway, I am Bob the Builder, and I do have a Bible, and I do have some papers, and I can write. I promise you. You may not can read it, but it can be written. Anyway, we'll see what happens. Here we go. On with the show. Thank you so much. Well, I got a comment. So I do know that it's on YouTube. I haven't shared it with anyone. I haven't announced it either. But I can assure you that I know who I am. And I know who Jesus is. And I do know that God reacts. Now, what does react mean? Until God moves, there won't be some movement. Is that difficult? I have got a shirt on. It looks like, as you can see, just like I can see. Yeah. But until God created, there was only God. That's all. After God started creating, you have the creation. Now, I see Freddie there, and I don't know what has to be done to get him. Oh, that adds him to.
There you go. How are you, sir?
Oh, I'm 76.
I'm 66.
I won't be 77 for a while.
I'll be 67 next month.
Well, congratulations.
Praise God.
I'll be married 56 years month after next.
And in February, I'll have been married with my wife for 44 years.
That's a pretty good number. 2 4s.
That adds up to 8, which is my second favorite number.
Well, God's got a favorite number, 1.
He is 1.
He's number 1. He is the one before there was 2. They may not like that idea, but it's kind of like, Freddie, what they like and what we like hadn't got a thing really to do with it. Earlier, I was on Clubhouse. I was on with Nate and some atheists and some others and Harold. These are people, that were on Nate's show. But I am sure that there's only one God. Today, there are many gods, okay? Today, there are many gods, but before them, there was one. And before there was Adam, they were there. Now, who is they? I do not know their names. I really don't. I really don't need to know their names.
Who's they?
Whoever the gods are.
Like the angels?
They are gods.
Well, we know 3 of their names.
At least we do. One named Gabriel and one named Michael.
And the bad one, Lucifer.
Well, that's the one that went bad. And that's sad. But yeah, Lucifer is, according to what I see, he can be called the god of this world, although he's going to be eliminated.
He has many names, this Lucifer, Satan character.
His favorite one is Jesus. That's the one he likes to use. I mean, he can do more.
I meant Satan has a lot of names that he's called by.
Well, he's taken the name Jesus, okay? And he uses it for whatever reason he can to deceive the nations. The only way he can deceive the nations, he's got to have a name. And
Ashtaroth.
So he can assume one.
Baal.
Those are some names that you can find.
Allah.
Oh, he can come in many shades. Yeah. In other words, that's why he says that he transforms himself into. My adversary can do it. But as long as I know he's my adversary, then I can, move accordingly. But anyway, back to the beginning. It began with one God. I don't know how many there were when God decided that he would have a man. But he made one out of dust. And then all the gods can see the man that God made out of dust. They can argue with me all they want, but they can't change the fact that God made the man known as Adam out of dust. One man. So what? There was one man. Before there was what?
A woman.
Or any other man, for that matter.
Well, before there was any other man, there had to be a woman.
But there wasn't a woman until Adam was put to sleep. And something was taken out of Adam.
He had a spare rib.
Yeah, and I like pork chops. and barbecue ribs.
Oh man.
But some people, you know, they don't want to talk to me about pork chops and barbecue ribs, but I want to talk to them about this one man that God made out of dust, that he put to sleep and fashioned a woman. And then the angels had to see something else. But until God put Adam to sleep, they had never seen what they saw. Okay? They hadn't seen it. And I can read what Adam said about the woman. I can. It's in my book. They were naked. Naked means they weren't clothed. They didn't have any clothes on. But I do believe they had skin.
Yeah, I think so.
I do believe they had eyes. I believe they had hair. I don't believe Eve was hairless. I don't think her hair grew, as she grew, because I don't think Eve had to grow.
Right. Her hair was probably already at a certain length that God created her with whatever.
That's it. And she had it until she didn't have it anymore. But there's one thing she didn't have. Adam didn't have it either. They did not have the knowledge of good and evil. They didn't have it.
Until
it was there, but they didn't have it. Until they got it, they didn't have it. But after they got it, they had it.
That would be a good topic for maybe a future live stream of yours. Like what knowledge did they have before they received the knowledge of good and evil? Did they have any knowledge of good at the time?
It says that they had each other and they had God, but they didn't have the knowledge of good and evil. But the knowledge of good and evil's there. Somebody's eating off of that tree that was already there. Now, who do you think might have been eating off of that tree? Maybe the gods?
I don't know.
Well, what in the Sam Hill do you think could be eaten from it, Freddie, if it wasn't the gods?
I don't know if those gods can eat, or if they necessarily have to eat.
I didn't say they had to, but you can't say that they didn't or that they don't.
No, that's why I don't even go there, because that's just speculative.
That's not speculative. That's stupid. That's not speculative.
Well, to speculate whether they ate from it or not.
It was there. So you don't need to speculate. Just
no, I mean steps to speculate whether the angels ate from it.
What in the hell would it be there for if the angels are not going to be eating from it?
It was for Adam and Eve.
No, it wasn't for Adam and Eve.
All the trees of the fruits were for them to eat.
But they were there. It doesn't say that God planted a garden for Adam and Eve. It says God had a garden that needed a worker. So God made Adam, formed him out of the dust to work the garden. Adam's not going to be working the garden for himself. That's not the point.
Yeah, for the future offspring that were to come.
There ain't no future offspring until he gets removed. He's no offspring, Freddie. The earth is not populated with hundreds of millions of offspring.
Yeah, future. That's why I said future offspring.
If Adam had just done what he's supposed to do, there might have never been an offspring.
You're speculating.
Yeah, and it's pretty damn good speculation, ain't it?
Don't you think that they would have procreated?
It doesn't say that they had until after God tells Eve she will have pain and she will desire her husband. There's no indication that they have had anything prior to. None. Now, you can speculate all you want. That's fine. I mean, the devil works on speculation.
So what if we say they didn't partake of the fruit and never were going to? What would it have always just been Adam and Eve forever and ever?
If they don't die, they'll be forever and ever.
So they would have never procreated to multiply the earth for everyone?
I guess not. If God doesn't say so, it won't be so.
Yeah.
That's why man can what? Live by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of God. These people, there were no people. There was only Adam and Eve and the gods. That's all there were. Somebody said, well, there were more. No, there weren't. And you don't know who the gods were. You do know they had a garden. They had one. Now, why would you have a garden if you wasn't going to eat out the garden? But it's the garden of God, and it's gone now. Poof, it's gone.
It's coming back in the future. Better than ever.
No, there's a city up yonder. A big city.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Better than ever.
Well, if it wasn't made by man, it's going to be huge. It's going to be big. It's going to be magnificent. Streets of gold. Woo. Streets of gold. How many miles is it across between those walls? You heard somebody tell you this week.
Yeah, it's 1,500 by 1,500 by 1,500.
But that's not quite 1,500 miles. It measures less. It's so many cubits that comes out to so many miles. But until that city comes down out of heaven, guess where it's going to stay?
Yeah, it's up in heaven, waiting to come down when Jesus returns.
That's when some people think it's coming. It might. I would be glad to find out. Let's put it that way.
That's why we have to keep enduring to the end. And
well, enduring to the end is only going to get you into the next age.
That's why we need to endure to the end. See, enduring to the end could be the end of our life, but the life goes on for others, or enduring to the end when Jesus returns, if he comes in our lifetime or someone's future lifetime.
Well, he's going to come in somebody's lifetime.
That's a fact.
Well, these people, this is what the people don't understand. That if God wants to tell somebody something, he can do it. And he don't have to tell somebody to go tell somebody something. I've got in this book right here where Moses took a lot of people out of Egypt and brought them to a mountain that God said bring them to. And God came down on the mountain. He didn't have any problem coming down on the mountain. When he got ready, he came down on the mountain. And he spoke to the people. He wasn't speaking English.
Yep, he was speaking Hebrew.
But he spoke what they understood. But he could speak any language since he gave the language that's given. Okay? In Deuteronomy, that's not the first book of the Bible.
No.
But it is the first book where something's happening that God had declared was going to happen when he walked with Abram. He told Abram, he made it clear, certain things are going to happen. I'm going to make out of you. That's what he told Abram.
Didn't things happen though in Genesis?
Yeah. Yeah, you find these things in Genesis. After Noah died. After Noah died. Until Noah died, this wasn't done. But God chose this man because he wanted to do it. Not because anybody told him to, and nobody pushed him into it. God did it. And the man was 75 years old when it began. That's what it says.
Yep.
But Moses brought these people, a great multitude of people, to the mountain. In Deuteronomy, you find out that Moses interceded. This is in chapter 5. These words the Lord spoke to all your assembly at the mountain from the midst of the fire. It's verse 22, chapter 5. The cloud and of the thick gloom with a great voice, and he added no more. He wrote them on 2 tablets of stone and gave them to me. And when you heard the voice from the midst of the darkness, while the mountain was burning with fire. You know where this is happening? On earth. The same earth that you walk on. We just ain't on that side right now. You came near to me, all the heads of your tribes and your elders. And behold, God showed his glory and his greatness. And they heard his voice from the midst of the fire. And it says in verse 24, we have seen today that God speaks with man. Ooh. yet he lives. Right there. You're mute. I see you're.
Yeah. You said chapter 5, verse 24?
I started in verse 22. I have read through verse 24. Verse 25. Now then, why should we die? That was a pretty good question. For this great fire will consume us if we hear the voice of the Lord our God any longer, then we will die. Now, who's saying these things? It's not God.
Yeah.
For who is there of all flesh who has heard the voice of the living God speaking from the midst of the fire as we have and lived? Moses did it, didn't he? Hadn't Moses done it
Yeah.
and lived, didn't he?
Yeah, but it wasn't literally the God's fire.
Whose fire was it?
Angel.
That's your crap you surmised. It
Well,
says it
God's
was
a consuming fire, and if he was there,
God.
everything would have
It's
been
God's
consumed.
fire. It's God's fire, Freddie. But anyway, go near and hear all the Lord our God says. Then speak to us all that the Lord our God speaks to you, and we will hear and do it. In verse 28, the Lord heard the voice of your words. So God hears what they said. That's what that means. And this ain't no angel baby. This is not angel baby here.
Absolutely, God hears.
And the Lord said to me, I have heard the voice of the words of this people, which they have spoken to you. They have done well in all that they have spoken. Oh, that they had such a heart in them, that they would fear me and keep all my commandments. Where is the man that fears God and keeps all his commandments today? I'm one of them. I keep his commandments, but I ain't keeping the law that God gave Moses. Because that has passed. It's in the past. We're headed to the future. Do you know what the future is? It's not the past. It's not the past, Freddie. It don't matter if your hat's brown or red or white. Just like I got a straw hat and I got a white hat and I got some shades that I can put on my glasses. But in verse 29, Moses gets a message from God. Say to them, return to your tents. And what? But as for you, stand here by me, that I may speak to you all the commandments. And you shall do what I say. I ain't worried about how it reads in the book. I'm worried about how it was stated so that God could make him understand the things. You shall not turn aside to the right or to the left. You shall walk in all the way which the Lord your God commanded you, that you may live and that you may be well with you, and that you may prolong days in the land which you will possess. They're going to get the land. How long they keep it or how long they survive is going to depend on what they do. And God's going to do according to their deeds. So what? This is where it's at. These people have not done a whole lot yet, but God has brought them out from where he told Abram they would be. So what does God do? He does what he says he's going to do. And he's still going to do what he says he's going to do. And verse chapter 6. And now this is the commandment and the judgments which the Lord your God has commanded me to teach you, that you might do them in the land where you are going over to possess it, so that you and your sons and your grandsons might fear the Lord your God. And these people today don't even know who the Lord God is, because they're what?
They're not keeping his commandments.
No, that ain't got a thing to do with it.
Well, if you
That's
keep
not got a thing to do with your blind mind or mine. It says the God of this world has blinded the minds. Jesus said the blind lead the blind. That's what Jesus said.
True.
And Jesus didn't say that until many years from where I'm reading this. What I'm reading right here is years before Jesus is conceived in the womb of a woman. But people have got him believing that he was back there then. And that is the problem. The problem.
Nonsense. Yeah, complete nonsense.
O Israel, you should listen and be careful to do, that it may be well with you, and that you may multiply greatly, just as the Lord, the God of your forefathers, promised. You a land flowing with milk and honey. Hear, O Israel, the Lord is our God, and the Lord is one. How many?
Uno.
You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and all your soul and with all your might. These words which I command you today shall be in your heart. I don't think that those are in the heart of a lot of people today.
That's why they don't know God, because they're not keeping these commandments in their heart.
But the whole thing about it is, there was at least 1 year when Jesus got to do what he did. Somebody said he did it 3 years. I don't know if it was 3 years or 1. But all I know it says the favorable year of the Lord, when God did something with the people. Jesus was there. He was crucified and raised from the dead. And before he went away, he said something to Peter. That's what he said to Peter. Shepherd, teach, do what you have been chosen to do, Peter. Because my Father in heaven wants you to do it. So Peter had to do it, or it don't get done. But Peter took his stand in Acts chapter whatever it is, and opened his mouth and said some words. But it's not going to be too many far after this that there's going to be someone else that gets a call. And his name is Saul, who becomes Paul. And then he becomes the preacher. He becomes the one who goes and speaks. And it's his words that he says, I have brought you the truth. If an angel comes and brings you something else other than me, forget it. Who spoke to these people? Paul. And these people want to tell me all the stuff that I've been hearing for the last 13 years. Yeah. On Labor Day of 2010, I made my second video as Joseph the Dreamer. I had hundreds of them before I began Bob the Builder. But before I began anything, I got instructions from God to put this in writing. I didn't get it out of the Bible. I didn't get it from a book on Mama's desk because Mama is dead. She died in 2008. I didn't hear God tell me to do anything until 2010. But since then, I've been on the move. Doing what? Whatever he commands. I get my commands from God. I can see what Jesus demanded, Freddie. But he also said, whosoever doeth the will of my Father in heaven, he is mine. And if God can't lead, then the devil can't lead. But the devil can lead and has led many astray.
Sadly.
But Jesus had said, many will say to me on that day. What does he say? It's whatever he said. But there's one thing for sure, that Moses is going to pass away. And guess who takes over? Joshua. Joshua takes over. And he told them he's not getting directions from angels. That's not who's directing Joshua. Angels get directions from the one who is telling Joshua. Moses, my servant, is dead. That's what God said. Joshua, get ready, because in 3 days, we're going to move. That happened a long time ago.
Yes, it did.
And the fear of the Lord was on all the inhabitants of the country. And the next thing that's going to happen is what? Somebody's walls are coming down. The walls of Jericho.
Yeah, and it's not going to be Jericho's in the future either.
Everything that can be shaken is going to be shaken. And the fire is going to test every man's works. What's going to come after that? Rewards. I'm not going to get rewards for what I think.
What you do.
But I can get reprimanded if I speak wrong. Now, who's going to reprimand me? It's probably going to be God.
Yep.
Because if he told me to preach, how can I preach unless I speak? Is there any other way? No. All I know is I can trust God.
Amen. Have to trust God.
10 years ago, this coming November, I hang upside down in a tree. Hung myself. I can't blame Freddie. I can't blame Diane. And somebody said, well, you know who hung you in the tree, Bob? I said, yeah, me. And they said, no, God hung you in that tree. And I said, no, that's not what God told me. God didn't hang me in the tree. But he did tell me that if my brother doesn't come to that tree, that my wife's voice will be the last one that I hear of a human being. So there I am, hung in the tree, and God has already said, your wife's voice will be the last one you hear unless your brother comes where you are. It's kind of evident that my brother showed up. My wife, I don't have a clue what went through her mind from the time I spoke to her and told her I'm hanging in a tree. Our 46th wedding anniversary is just days away.
Well, congratulations.
That was 10 years ago. She finishes chemo in October. And if things go the way they are probably going to go, we'll have our 56th wedding anniversary. But God told me that if my brother does not get to that tree, I won't hear another person speak. Now, what do I do? Yeah, this is a testimony. God told me to make this shirt or put this on the shirt. I heard his voice. I obeyed. I'll hang in the tree, but I'm obeying his voice. And then he told me how I could put my feet back on the ground. Because he gave me instructions to give my brother. Well, why didn't God give him the instructions? Don't ask me. I was the one hanging in the tree. God gave me the instructions. So when my brother gets there, what do? I tell him to do what God has told me to tell him. It's just that simple. Somebody said, well, God does not deal that way with people. I say, really? He may not deal that way with many people. If you want to be correct in your speech, you put it that way. Don't come tell me nothing about God.
Yeah. Well, on that note, as I mentioned, I have to go. I got some things I got to do.
Well,
So
your wife will be glad that you do it.
yeah. Well,
But
thank you for.
my wife will be by here in a few minutes. No, she's already at the chemo. She didn't stop. But anyway,
Thank you.
I will continue. Thank you for, making this happen. And
I'll see you in a
well,
little bit, possibly. And God bless you.
I'll be around. We got to go get the grandkids this afternoon.
All right. Take care.
Take care of the house.
All right.
Vacuum all the corners, Freddie.
Yeah, exactly. We'll see you.
Thank you. All right. It says, Cherubah Watson. Hey, today is Friday the 15th. And my wife is at the chemo parlor. That's not where you get your toes painted. This is not the place where you get your hair fixed either. And I'm going to give her a text message and see if she answers. I'm going to just text her, are you there? I'm here. I'm at 611 South Farmville Street. What am I doing? I'm making a video. How long has it been? Right now, I'm at 53 minutes and some seconds. I might get this thing ended in less than an hour. Mm-hmm. If I had about $40,000, I could have all white teeth, maybe, for $40,000. But I'm not going to spend $40,000 to get white teeth. Now, if somebody wants to, then I'd have to make up my mind. But I can assure you that God is going to complete. He's going to do what he said he's going to do. The people of Israel, those people that I just read about, that Moses and Joshua, had the pleasure of being with, they long gone. Long gone. But God is still allowing the earth to be populated. As long as there are women, giving birth or carrying babies, there's going to be population. Somebody said, well, you can't know God. Well, who do you think might have put those words into your mind that you can't know God? I can show you in here, they shall know me from the least of them to the greatest. Who said it? I know who said it. The one that said to Adam, where are you? I'm not going to go past an hour, but I pretty much got another hour. And it should show up that I did this stream. It should bind up on YouTube. Yeah. What can I do now? I can go to the coffee shop. Here's my coffee cup. I can get me something to eat at the coffee shop. And that's probably where I'm going. So just let it be known that I am who I am. And if you want to know the truth, believe Jesus. If you're not going to believe him, there's not too much I can do for you at all. So now I'm going to end the stream by clicking here, and I'm going to see if I can get out of the building. So in 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, here we go, in the stream. Thank you. Thank God.